The full trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is releasing on May 22nd this year, has been released, and I have some kind of mixed thoughts on it, to be honest. On the one hand, I think that this could be what Star Wars needs right now. I think it'll be a big draw, especially for younger audiences. I get Snapchats from my sister of my nephews wanting to show me their Grogu doll dancing. I have friends whose kids refer to Star Wars as Grogu. And I think everything that we've seen in this trailer is the kind of stuff that they're really gonna like. If there's one thing I think is usually lacking from the discourse around the redemption of the prequels and all that, it's the idea that it was younger people who did enjoy those movies at the time, and their voices have become a bigger part of the conversation now. So I think people undervalue how important it is to make sure that a new generation of fans stays involved. So while I do have some concerns about the movie myself, I'm not necessarily the one they need to win over with this, and I think something like Starfighter might bring me in more. Also, on the positive side, I'm glad to see that they are using Zeb more here. I was disappointed that he wasn't in Ahsoka, or necessarily even used more in Mandalorian Season 3. I think he looks really good, and I think generally the effects in the movie do look good. But there's kind of one thing that stood out to me while watching the trailer that kind of is my biggest concern right now. So I think the movie is supposed to be this kind of fun action adventure with the Mandalorian and Grogu. I don't think it's supposed to be the biggest scale story, but the action kind of seems a little boring to me. Maybe I'm being unfair, maybe it's just the shots they chose for the trailer, but in most of the action scenes in the trailer, it seemed like it was guy does thing while enemy just kind of slowly stands there and maybe reacts a little bit. There are always shots in trailers of kind of like a group of forces mustering or a guy walking slowly towards or away from the camera. That's not what I mean. If you look at the actual action shots that we do see, whether it's Zeb in the hallway or coming through the door with the two troopers on either side of it, the Hutt fight in the arena, or running away on their jetpacks, it feels like they are doing something and the enemy is just slowly kind of looking at them. Again, this could be entirely a result of which shots we're actually seeing in the trailer, but it does feel like it's not the most dynamic, and I just think the fact that Pedro Pascal has a fairly monotone voice as the Mandalorian doesn't necessarily help that feeling, at least in the trailer. I'm certainly open to have the movie change my mind on this. We see some elements both of fighting underworld figures and of fighting the Empire in the trailer. We see that Din is taking jobs from the New Republic to hunt this stack of bad guys that Sigourney Weaver has, but I feel like the Imperial fight is probably going to be the more minor of the two in the movie. I think if anything, that's going to be more setting up for future stuff, maybe stuff to deal with Thrawn. So if I'm putting my money on anything for the main plot, I think it'll probably open with the Imperial subplot and then go more into the underworld stuff. It looks like we're also going to get some potential additional Force tutelage for Grogu, and I think another main thrust of this movie is going to be us seeing Din trusting Grogu to kind of be his own person and take matters into his own hands sometimes as well. We've seen time and time again that Grogu is a pretty powerful Force user, and he does kind of know what he's doing, as long as he's aware enough to know that a certain situation is threatening instead of just a fun opportunity to eat someone's eggs. So there are some things I'm looking forward to seeing in this movie, and I am excited to have Star Wars back in theaters for the first time in years, but I just don't know if this one's going to end up high on my rankings. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.